Dear friends, the day after plus 7, the magic number. Yesterday I washed my car, but this morning there was a very dirty rain falling. As you can see, it's still a wet. I mean, the weather is not perfect, although it's quite warm. So now my car is looks messy again. Not Lionel Messi, but messy, like, yeah, dirty. Yeah, quickly, COVID statistics. We are doing fine as a country. 2 additional deaths yesterday. I mean, fine. I mean, it would be better without this, but okay. It is what it is. 222 in total. 52 newly infected persons out of more than 5,000 testings. So it's 1% is, the ratio of positive test results, which is really good, etc, etc. I mean, we have almost 10,300 cases of corona, which is again nothing spectacular. Driving the street of Yuzhny Boulevard. I looked this morning. Now it seems to me quite interesting. I take a look every morning at what happened on today's date, and there were several things that triggered my attention this morning. One is that back in 1643, Louis XIV came into throne to Spain. The famous Louis XIV, and his attitude, après moi la déluge, what, according to my knowledge of French, which is very, very, very limited, I mean almost non-existent, means after me the flood, or the huge flood. Also, the line of furniture known as the Louis XIV was popular once a long time ago. Okay, this happened in 1643, as I said, but let's go for some more recent things. In 1990, the second modern Olympic Games took place in Paris. Again, Paris. And these games are famous for the fact that this was the first time that women were allowed to participate at Olympic Games, which is I believe a significant victory in terms of female rights. Then a bit more recent history. In 1948, the state of Israel has been announced, formed practically. And then 1955, on today's date, the so-called Warsaw Pact has been signed by the countries, around the Soviet Union, namely Albania, Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Poland. For those of you who do not know, Yugoslavia was never part of that pact. We were always neutral. And then even more recent event. In 1999, during the NATO campaign over Serbia, NATO forces bombarded, allegedly accidentally, a refugee column at Kosovo. Quite some number of people died, and most of them children. These were practically Kosovo Albanian refugees. So yeah. And even more recent and to me, this was my selection for I've been talking a bit more about it today. In 2008, on today's date, Justine Henin, the famous tennis player from Belgium, announced that she will be withdrawing from tennis. At that time, she was the #1 in the world. Then I read about Justine Henin because she was, first of all, she was a very interesting tennis player, relatively low in height, 167 centimeters, but had quite a good service, and she had, according to John Patrick McEnroe, or just John McEnroe, yeah, Patrick was his brother, if I'm not mistaken. She had the best one-handed backhand in the history of tennis, in both selections, male and female. I mean, this is quite an interesting observation. Indeed, she had quite an interesting one-handed backhand, and very powerful indeed. However, whether it was the best in both selections, difficult to say. For instance, my favorite is Wawrinkas, for instance. I mean, Roger Federer by all means, but even, I mean, the most elegant probably is the Federer's, the way how he does it, I mean, really. But I would say that even more powerful was Wawrinkas, when Wawrinka was playing at 100% of his capability. Actually, not when he was playing at 100, when he was playing at 120% of his capabilities, which happened a couple of times, and unfortunately it happened a couple of times in the finals against Djokovic. So Djokovic couldn't stand a chance against the furious Wawrinka at that time. I remember we were watching one Wimbledon final, not Wimbledon, Roland Garros. Everybody hoped that practically Djokovic will be scoring his first ever victory in Roland Garros, but there was Wawrinka. Justine Henin, again, she quite interesting actually. She, I mean, first of all, the very fact that somebody withdraws when he's at the #1 at the age of, at that time she was born in 1982, so 2008, 26 years old. And just before Roland Garros, that she was winning a couple of times, she won all Grand Slams except for Wimbledon, interestingly. She played 2 finals but lost both times. I remember watching a match against Jelena Jankovic. Apparently her score against Jelena Jankovic is 10-0, so Jelena Jankovic never managed to defeat her. I remember watching that match. It was the final set was played. I don't recall what tournament it was, but it was a final set. Jelena Jankovic was leading 5-2. I don't now recall who was serving for the match, but 5-2 in the decisive set. And Justine Henin managed to do the turnaround and win that match. I mean, what else to say? What else to say? She started playing tennis at the age of 5 when her parents, I mean her family, moved to one place in Belgium. I don't recall the name, but there was a tennis court or tennis courts. They were, I mean, just next to their house, and then she was spending the whole day there. She was so fascinated by the game, so she was just having a breakfast and then going to the course and then returning late in the evening back home just to practically change clothes, take a nap, sleep, and then morning after breakfast again. At the age of 20, she got married, and this caused significant troubles with her family, so she lost practically the communication with the family. Okay, she lost her mother very early, at the age of 8, if I'm not mistaken. But by then everybody already realized how great talent she is for this tennis game. So she was already progressing in that world, training hard. But then there was, I believe, one Australian Open that she withdrew from because of the family issues, and there were rumors about her divorce, and then she confirmed that she divorced. Some years after the divorce, she managed to re-establish the connection with her family, with her father and the rest of the family. And the first time that her family practically watched her ever in a tournament was Roland Garros 2007, so just practically 1 year prior to her withdrawal. And essentially, I made a mistake here, and practically this will prove to be the last Roland Garros that she ever won, the last that she participated in. Yeah. One more fact was triggered my attention when she was at the age of 10, I believe. Her mother took her for her mother probably died when she was 12, not 8. At the age of 10, her mother first time took her to one of the major tennis tournaments, and it was French Open, of course, the closest to them, and it was a final match in female competition, Steffi Graf against Monica Seles. And then she, at the end of the match, she just said, allegedly she just said to her mother, "I will be winning here, once upon a time in the future, or once in the future I will win this tournament." And it so happened. It happened exactly that way. So these future champions, they know that they will be champions even at the age of 10. I believe Novak Djokovic, by the age of 10, also knew by heart that he will be a big champion. Not maybe as big as he really is right now, but yeah. Okay, that's the interesting. I like tennis, so that's why I remember the times of Justine, and I also remember very well the times of the fabulous domination of Steffi Graf prior to Monica Seles. I remember watching also the game between Arantxa Sanchez Vicario and Steffi Graf somewhere in Madrid, I believe. Where Arantxa Sanchez for the first time managed to beat Steffi Graf. She played so simple, but simplicity is sometimes the key. Simplicity appears to be the key sometimes. Yeah, then Monica Seles started beating Steffi Graf almost regularly, but Steffi Graf definitely remains one of the best in history. I mean, female tennis player, no doubt. I mean, the domination that she had back then, it's even maybe higher than the one than we see now. I mean, the Serena, not now, but over the last 10 years with Serena Williams. Maybe even, I mean, higher domination, let's say, let's put it that way. I mean, this was really, how to say, brutal. I mean, her domination was really brutal. I remember once looking the match between Steffi Graf and a Russian player, Zvereva. Not Zvereva, Russian player. What was her name? Maybe even Zvereva. Cannot recall right now. I mean, it was brutal. I mean, 6-1, 6-1, something like that. Okay, thanks for watching. I have something to do here, and we'll talk to you soon again. Bye bye.